I love innovation. I love technology. And I think it is super important that we take an active and leader's role in the AI world here in Switzerland.
Yes.
You know, as a producer, as a developer, as a scientist, because we've got les PFL for this region.
Right.
Brilliant people. We've got the Swiss AI initiative. So we have to be in the steering wheel. I mean, holding the steering wheel here and deciding where to go with AI and how to embrace this change. Because I, of course, don't want to block the evolution of this amazing technology, but we can be the ones bringing, showing a way where humans can be augmented by AI, not replaced or diminished.
Right.
And I think this is exactly where we could be super strong.
Hello and welcome to a new edition of Getting Serious with Woody Wade. That's me, your host, here on this podcast, which is thanks to GGBa, the Greater Geneva Bern area. And today I'm very happy to welcome as my guest Isabelle Chappuis, who is a member of Swiss Parliament and who has described herself, when I asked her for some information about herself, as follows: economist, futurist, director, author, independent board member, politician, wife, mother. So we'll be talking about all these things, I suppose, over the next hour or so. And I really want to start, Isabelle, by saying thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. We met once, as it turns out, about 10 or 11 years ago, I think, right, at HEC, where you were working at that time. HEC is the business school at the University of Lausanne. And at that time, I came over to make a talk about scenario planning, and you were part of this foresight group that was very interested in looking into the future. And it's obvious that your entire political career has been at least somewhat based on this this passion that you have for thinking about the future and trying to foresee how the future might develop. Am I reading that right?
You're reading that absolutely right. But first of all, I'd like to thank you for the invitation this morning. I'm equally happy to be here and to talk about all these things with you. With regards to futures, yes, I think it has been at the center of my whole career, in fact, because I've been working on education, continuing education, professional education for adults, basically leading the executive education department at HEC Lausanne, the business faculty of UNIL. So my mission was to bring these people with the right tools and the right skills into the future.
Right.
With the help of all these professors that we, of course, had. So I think one of the things that is really at the center of what I've been doing for more than 20 years is what I like to call human sustainability.
Very nice.
And of course, if you want to remain relevant on the world of work or Switzerland as a country in a world ecosystem, then you have to think about the future.
Right.
So that's why I, of course, remember meeting you many, many years ago and buying your book and getting a nice note in the book.
Right.
Because indeed, I think thinking in scenarios is something that is not taught in schools or in universities generally, and it is super important. And I know it's getting traction now, generally, and also within the government. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing too. But obviously, to be prepared for the future, you have to think about what the future actually has in store for us, right? And nobody knows, but you need to kind of have some kind of a methodology maybe for thinking in a structured way about how the future could change. But now I'm starting to sound like an ad for myself, and I don't want to do that. I actually want to touch on the last word that you put on your list to describe yourself, mother. And I want to ask you, from the standpoint of a mother who is also a politician, when you look at your kids in school, what do you see that's maybe missing from the Swiss educational system that you wish you could actually just snap your fingers and make it materialize? Is there any? I mean, we all know that the educational system here is really good. It's ranked also, very highly, among countries in the world, but that doesn't mean it's perfect, right? And so I'm wondering if there's something that, as a mother of 3 children, you see education from one perspective, but then also as a member of parliament, you see education from a different perspective, and you've just mentioned how important it is to you. Where do those two things intersect for you?
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for starting with this point, from the whole list that I've put actually on LinkedIn that you mentioned before. Of course, the last one is the most important.
Okay.
My children. So I'm very happy to talk about them. And of course, education. I mean, this is for me super important. I've been working on futures, and more recently, I've been drifting towards emerging technologies and AI generally. So, of course, I am super happy that we live in a country where education is recognized as our first line of defense. Mm-hmm. Defense against other countries, economic power, defense against war, but we may talk about this later.
Does defense mean competitiveness in that sense?
Strength and capacity to resist, basically, right?
Okay.
So anyway, yes, we've got so many possibilities in Switzerland to go from, the more academic schools to the more practical schools, and those bridges that have been created in, I'd say, the last 20, 30 years are exceptional, I think. Mm-hmm. And we have individuals with a high level of skills in Switzerland. Mm. Yet, I think the world's changing. And I have recently actually put an interpellation at the parliament to ask the Federal Council whether they ambition to develop a Swiss or national skills strategy.
Oh.
Not only for, say, universities and EPFs, which are at federal level,
right?
For EPFL and ETH, but also for primary schools.
Wow.
Of course, primary schools usually, or secondary schools, so I'm talking about more, mandatory schools, they belong to, they are under the responsibility of the canton.
Right.
Not under the
federal,
state.
right.
Yet.
Yet.
You think,
oh.
No, yet, no, right, this is it. But what I'm saying is, when you look at AI and emerging technologies generally, they don't stop at cantonal borders.
Right.
And the impact they have may be different in the Basler pharma or, maybe in the finance of Zug or maybe in the international relationships of Geneva. Mm-hmm. But they do, they will disrupt the concept of learning throughout all these states or cantons equally. Mm-hmm. So I think it is time now that we put our forces together, canton and a federal level, to think about a Swiss national skills strategy.
Interesting.
And I'm not talking about coding. I'm not talking about engineering skills. I'm talking about skills relevant or necessary in the AI era.
Right.
And that's not the same.
No, for sure not. I mean, do you already see this with your kids? I don't know how old your kids are. Are they actually still in secondary education in school?
Well, I've got them spread over quite many years.
Uh-huh.
The big one is 27.
Okay.
And
out of school.
Out of ETH. Very proud mother.
Right. You should be.
And the next one is 16, and then the last one is 12.
Okay.
So I've got...
So they're still experiencing...
secondary school, gymnase, and,
right.
The other one finished
right.
university.
So your two younger kids who are still in the educational pipeline there, are they getting exposed to AI in the classroom, or are they just using AI to do their homework?
They're not exposed to AI.
Uh-huh.
They talk about it with their friends.
Right.
They, of course, have ChatGPT on their mobile phones.
Yeah.
And they, not because we've told them to do that, but because everybody does this.
Right.
And they know a lot about AI just because we live together.
Okay.
So I wouldn't take them as average kids when it comes to these themes.
Right.
But what's really interesting in having kids so far apart is that I've kept their vocabulary books. And they had the same teachers.
Oh.
Some of them,
Right.
right? And what you can see, if you take just languages, is between the first one and 14 years later, the last one, you've got the same vocabulary, except that they took away, let's say, 1/3 of the vocabulary they had to learn. So it's just going...
They took away 1/3 of the
Yes, there are,
Really?
instead of having 30 words to learn for the next week, it's 20.
But the 10 that they took away are obsolete words, or they just no, it's not that.
Just
It's
maybe
like
complicated words or words the professors may have reckoned are not necessary, or maybe because it's more difficult to manage a whole school and get them to have decent grades, keeping those long lists of words. So I'm just wondering about the cognitive abilities of the kids.
Sure.
Have they changed?
Right.
Or that's something I question.
Do you think the standards are lowering? Is that what you're saying? In a way, I mean, the expectations from the side of the school seem to be lower. If it's like enough now for you to learn these 20 words rather than 30 words, it sounds to me like maybe, I hate to say dumbing it down, because that doesn't sound like that is a phrase that makes any sense within the Swiss context. But it's kind of surprising to hear what you say, right? That the school would suddenly say, "Oh, let's make this a little bit easier."
I wouldn't say. I suppose professors and experts are just, pedagogical experts are just adapting to a new reality.
Yeah.
And that's today's kids maybe cannot or don't want to learn as many words as before. Maybe it's a question of, the integration, the schools for everybody. And there's, of course, there's always been kids who are more creative, less academic, and others that are, the good in math, but maybe less in gymnastic. That's always existed. Now, if you put them all together, you're going to lower the gymnastic standards and the math expectations. That's my point of view. That's maybe what I'm seeing, but I haven't studied academically the evolution of the content, the vocabulary.
Maybe you've seen that. I don't know if that exists in the Swiss context or not, but I've seen this in the U.S. context. That I've seen like a one-page exam that was given to, I think, 12th graders in like the year 1905 or something like that. There is no way that a 12th grader could answer any of those questions that were expected just as to get your high school diploma 120 years ago. I mean, they even included, some Latin and Greek, which is not part of anybody's curriculum hardly at all these days. But even like the math questions and the geography questions were way beyond what you'd expect. And I don't know, maybe this is just a trend in the Western world in general. The word Western here kind of just slipped in. I didn't necessarily mean that in any way, but I think actually it does show that we have rival systems out there, rival nations, rival civilizations even, and I'm thinking particularly of China, where I think the standards are very high. In terms of the education that their kids are getting. Now, I don't know that for sure, but that's just, speaking as a layman, I get that impression from some of the things that I read. And I'm wondering if first of all, if you agree that this is an issue, and second, what can we do about it? Can we make the schools tougher when they're actually reducing the amount of hard questions that have to be learned by the kids?
Well, first I'd like to come back to your point with the early century and tests being maybe more difficult. I'm sure they didn't have IT, they didn't have so many classes or biology or chemistry, but they don't have. They didn't
There was
have
less
before.
history also.
There was less history. Well, mind you, yeah. But so maybe that's the first thing.
Right.
Then second, we have to face the fact that our brains are changing. And if you look at the ancient generations, let's say from last century and the kids today, they're wired differently in the brain. The ancient generation used to know more by heart. So if you take a computer, they'd have a bigger memory.
Right.
And the kids today have a faster operational system.
Okay.
Meaning that they reflect and they think, they go from one idea to another way faster
Okay.
than the others, the seniors used to or still do
Right.
to some point.
Right.
So I think today what's really important in the economy generally, and I'm just making a little note aside, is that it's super important to have seniors and juniors working together because together they really bring the entire strong and faster and more powerful computer
Right.
or cognitive power.
Right.
So that's one thing. You were talking about the ancient, like last century.
Right.
And so, yes, I think the world has changed. So it is only natural that school changes. Right. For example, and that is something that I thought was super interesting, you think of the first industrial revolution, late 18th century, with the steam engine.
Steam engine, basically, right?
That was a big disruption.
Right.
And if you take UK then, the reflection was, what do we do about this? Because they had on one side Ned Ludham, who was a worker who basically created this movement, the Les Ludites,
Right.
from his last name.
Right.
And he went and started breaking machines.
Right.
Because he didn't want machines to take away his jobs.
Right.
And he had a point.
Right.
Because everything was being automated.
Okay, yes.
So, and then the government at this time said, all right, but what do? We are right now in the midst of expansion, of internationalization. And if we understand the needs of the people, but it's a question of resilience of the country more globally, and they decided to just not help the workers. And well, we're very happy to have the trains we have, to have the machines we have, and to be where we are today because those government accepted to go for push innovation. Now, on the other hand, you have to realize that they had 70 years of economic marasme, we say in French. It was, let's say, very difficult during 70 years. 40 years of poverty. It was really difficult. And then
You're talking about before the Industrial Revolution,
I'm
or
thinking right after.
right as it
as it was
okay.
happening, right?
Okay.
The first one.
Right.
Then the second one was the beginning of last century.
right.
With many innovations converging, electricity, the engine that we know, telephone, you name it. There were lots of innovations there.
Right.
Same thing. The impact on the world of work was going to be super heavy, but there has been governmental response this time around, meaning. And I take only 3 examples to make it short, but seeing that there was going to be a lot of people maybe unemployed. We suddenly had the unemployment
Right.
Insurance.
Right.
And
I see.
seeing that the jobs would require different skills,
Right.
we have changed there was the School Act
Right.
in the UK, but there was also a lot of things happening here. First, rendering school mandatory longer so that kids could learn more.
Right.
Kids could learn more skills to maybe start new professions.
Okay.
And then there was the ILO, the International Labour Organization, kind of organizing all that. And that was way easier this time around, right? The transition was smoother. Now, we have to think about what we ought to do now, because we are in this kind of strong, totally disruptive, but vague transition or transformation. And it's linked, of course, very strongly to AI. And I would say it's the second step of robotics,
Right.
with robots merging with AI.
Yes.
And that's going to be like super major.
Yeah.
And I think here we have to think about, like, if you think of these 3 steps, we need to have a skills insurance. Because some
Skills insurance?
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I'm just
Right,
planting a seed that
Yeah,
when that will come.
interesting
But-
idea. I want to talk about that in a moment, but I'll let you finish your thought.
Well, that's one thing. Then a skills insurance, then education. Continuing education is compulsory in certain fields, such as medicine, for example. And for the others, you think you did super school when you were young, you have your degree when you're 18, and you're entitled to have a job when you're 45.
Right.
And that's not reality.
Right.
You need to go with the flow, learn, adapt, and learn again.
Right.
Except that currently, continuing education is a responsibility, a prerogative of the company and the employee. State is totally aside of that, except that companies don't know what to teach. They don't have the money. And the employees, same thing. They don't know.
Okay.
So there's got to be some kind of steering or organizing here. I think that should come from, let's say, from the state.
Okay.
And we had to rethink, of course, this whole system.
Interesting.
Voilà. So that was...
Okay. Let's go back to the skills insurance idea, though, because I never heard that before. What do you mean by that? What are you thinking?
Skills insurance is insurance, meaning that you only use when you need to. The idea is not to offer, say, money or time for education to the people who don't need it, but those who need it. And when you look at the way jobs are evolving, you see what you call the frontier jobs. So those jobs that, revolve around AI, emerging technologies, and new big trends. So that's the frontier of what's new.
Right.
They have no problem. They are learning by doing. They don't need continuing education because they're continuously educating themselves while they work.
Right.
So they're good. They're okay. Now you've got other jobs that are fantastic, extremely needed, and suddenly they're hit by, automatization.
Right.
And they're usually called wealth jobs because they are used by the wealthy people. And if you happen to lose your relevance on the labor market just because a machine took your job, you need support. Not because we just want to be social and nice with the people, because you want to have a country that has an economy that thrives.
Yes.
And you need everybody to be relevant in this economy. So that's why that's it. That's really what I'm thinking.
So the skills insurance, if I can rephrase what you're saying, would be a system that comes in and provides you with some kind of bridging support to upgrade your skills when you need it, which is when you have lost a job, for example, because someone has replaced you with AI, for example.
Well, not because someone has replaced you because you weren't, smart enough to upgrade yourself. Because I think you need to upgrade yourself on a regular basis as an individual as well.
Right. Right.
That's why continuing education should be compulsory. But if, despite learning continuously in a relevant manner, you end up being irrelevant on the labor market, that's where I think some kind of help could start.
Is nothing like that done now?
No. That's
how different is that from unemployment insurance?
Well, unemployment will just help you bridge the moment between you lost your job and you find a new one. And currently they will tell you to that you're an accountant.
Right.
You studied accounting at whatever, very good school, HEC Lausanne, let's say.
Right.
So now you're unemployed. Tough luck. Your company, I don't know, went bankrupt or whatever.
Right.
But we will help you find another job in accounting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And if accounting doesn't exist anymore, that's, tough luck. Of course, they're helping a lot with classes and continuing education.
Yes.
But that's à la marge, as we say.
Right.
So that's
Got it.
But these are just, big ideas, because I know you're a futurist and you like to think about how the world could be, should be, and you like to be ambitious with changes. So I think that's
yeah, absolutely.
That's an idea.
No, I like the phrase. I just didn't really know exactly what you meant by that. Is that a phrase that you have used with your colleagues in the government, for example, to try to get them thinking along the same lines? Or is that's not something you dreamed up just 5 minutes ago on the spot, is it? No.
I've been thinking about this for, many years already. I read a book and analyzed it. Maybe the book that I've read the most thoroughly, from Carl Benedict Frey, The Technology Trap, which was amazing, very rich in content. And ever since, that was, 2018. 2018. And ever since, I've been thinking and advocating for these two things. But I think it's too early. Probably people have to be hit by
before they take action.
Before they take action.
Demand action.
But at least it's I'm putting an idea on the table.
Yeah.
And I will continue.
Yeah.
And there are other people who are thinking. I'm not the only one with this.
Sure.
With this idea.
But it's getting hit. That can happen any time, because it's so much faster now, these changes. And if you go all the way back to the first industrial revolution, it was, 2 or 3 generations before the world really changed, right? And now we're talking about something with AI coming in that could change the world not everybody, obviously, but can change things very dramatically in 5 years, maybe, or so, maybe less, even faster, right?
But you're right when you say, first and second generation, at least first, you could continue and end up your job. And then maybe you were not that much relevant anymore, but that's okay, because you were at the end of your professional life, and your kids learn something different. So that's true that the cycles were much slower, and one could put up with the rhythm as humans.
Right.
Now, the second revolution was a bit faster already, because you were going to learn, communication, marketing. You entered in an industry, but then you would need to adapt to another industry, still doing marketing.
Right.
So you could always bring along some kind of skills,
right,
professional skills, to another job. Now, what I'm imagining right now and seeing happening is that business models are going to be totally different. And it's not that you will just adapt what you were doing. You may have to actually accept to do something totally different. And that means retraining.
Right. What do you see as the risks of AI? There are a lot of them out there that have been written about and talked about, but what about you? Particularly, do you see AI, not a question of taking over jobs necessarily, but actually fundamentally changing the way society works in a way that is in some way not to be wished, right? Not to be desired. Do you see anything along the lines that maybe needs monitoring already now, so that we don't go down that path?
I see a lot of risks, in fact. I see also a lot of opportunities. So
Sure.
I would call myself a techno-optimist and a technophile, meaning that I like these technologies. I've been working and published also a few books and articles on the impact of emerging technologies and AI on jobs, labor market, skills. That's something that I was seeing. We just discussed it before. It's going to be a bit shaky and rock and roll, but we can work with that, right? I think.
Right.
Now I had, and you probably know the man. If you don't, I'll be super happy to introduce you to him. Jean-Marc Ricli.
I know that name.
Yeah, because he's kind of.
I've seen a lot of stuff that he puts on LinkedIn, I think.
Yes. He's very often on TV. Anyway, he works in the field of futures.
Okay.
Of foresight. So he's looking at what's coming, but in particular linked to the emerging risks links to technologies in the defense world. So
In the defense world.
in the defense
Okay,
world, security.
Yeah. Yes, right.
And well, I am member of the Security Commission.
Yes.
So he used to be a colleague and a friend, but now he's like a consultant to me.
Right.
And I'm really very thankful to that. And when we first met, we were talking about AI as being a risk for labor, because I had this bias that everything had to do with jobs,
Right.
and careers.
Right.
But then he said, "But Isabelle, that's just the same, except that it's a weapon. It's going to be weaponized." And the war that is not only a future war, but is currently happening, is the cognitive war. And that means that we are slowly losing our freedom, not of speech, but of thoughts. We have in the Constitution, Article 10, the right to the physical integrity and the psychological, psychic integrity. But nobody talks about the cognitive integrity. It's not in there. Because you think that the freedom to think, to form your own opinions, and to judge or to dream is something that belongs to you and that nobody can take or nobody can manipulate. That's why it's never been in the Constitution and anywhere in the laws, because it's within your brain, right?
Right.
Except that now, with the acceleration of the power of machines and AI in particular,
Right.
but also with the research that we've done in brain understanding,
Yes, right.
makes that all these things that currently big techs are using and developing will be turned into weapons. And that's already the case. And DARPA in the US, so the very big agency,
Research, defense research, right? Yes.
voilà, which has billions in budget, but I mean like major,
Right.
is currently giving the biggest contracts to the big techs and the AI leaders. So,
Do you know what they're trying to do? What are they? I mean, something specific that they're actually trying to develop?
You can put AI basically in everything, to make autonomous weapons. You can put AI into, the systems that see things or and to see things more faster, see trends.
Okay.
I think about what the enemy could do, but I think there's one big expert in war that we have to now listen to, except that he's been dead for many, many years, and that's Sun Tzu, the Chinese
Yes.
big war general, that he said that basically the ideal is to win a war without ever fighting.
Right.
And that seems a bit, how do you do that, right?
Well, this is about making the enemy not interested in fighting you, right?
That's
They just basically kind of give up, or and so it's about brainwashing them in a certain sense, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes, that's what I'm
using
talking about.
AI to or finding a way to work on the psychology of the enemy, whoever it is,
exactly,
right?
of
So that
the
they're just
cognition of the enemy.
So they don't even come to the fight, right?
They don't
and
even
therefore you
see.
win. They don't
You know,
even
we're
know that
talking-
there is a fight. Maybe.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm actually starting to, or have, midway, writing a book on the invisible war. Because we are now in the midst of an invisible war fought with invisible weapons, where the victims are invisible or don't even know they're victims. And that's where Sun Tzu comes and says, easy, you take, There was never a question that we are enemies. We are you, and you're happy with it.
Right.
So I think that's probably the biggest risk that we face when you think of AI.
Right.
Because, when you think of the way now we use AI, we don't get information from the social networks, for example. Well, to go back, medias have got a big competitor, réseaux sociaux, social networks,
Mm-hmm.
right? Except that media sell information,
Right.
and social networks don't sell information.
Right.
They sell our attention
Right.
to those who want to buy.
Right.
Very different business model.
Yeah,
But the
that's right.
fact is, they're taking away the attention from of us or from the media to the social networks.
Yes. Right.
So they really don't have the information. That's one thing. They brought them here, and then they do what they call attention fracking. So they give you so much information that you don't even want or you cannot assimilate all of them. So you've got many choices. You can either feel so lonely because social networks have only social is only in the name, right? But
Yeah.
they're creating a world pandemia of loneliness.
Right.
So they can make you wish to belong to something different. And that's where alternative information starts, you know, what we call complotism, for example, right? Social media, and then they will easily put you in an information bubble. Or they will, what I would say in French, vous lobotomiser, huh? You know, they go,
Lobotomize.
voilà,
Right.
that's it. You know, the doom scrolling.
Yes.
And in fact, you only look at cats singing in Korean, you know, and you think this is super cute, right?
Yes.
But you don't talk about important things. Start. And then you talk about important things, but just with a selected number of people who believe in, you know, a specific reality. And worse than that, there are those who just say, no, I mean, that's too much. I can't stand it. Like my brain cannot see this. And we see this this exode, right, from the informational sphere. So these people,
These are just people who just withdraw.
they withdraw
They just
from the world of information.
Okay.
So they don't even talk about information,
Okay.
interesting information anymore. And that's even worse. Because then, if they're not interested in important things, the others who have the power over the narrative will decide. So that's very important. And for those who actually resist, right, they will be anyway. They can be manipulated through personalized information, mass personalized communication, meaning that they know, because they know everything about you,
Right.
because we say that
Yeah.
300 likes on Facebook will make the system know you better than your partner. You know, so they know
300.
that's
That's
you know,
okay.
there's a big study on this. Yeah.
Okay.
So they know you, they
Yeah.
know what you like,
Yeah.
and they will adapt the narrative
Right.
to you so that you vote this.
Right.
You know, Cambridge Analytica was one thing,
Yes.
but now we can, I mean, that was like in the past,
Right.
very long ago, Cambridge
Right.
Analytica. In the meantime, the brain has been studied and discovered, and we know exactly what makes people tick
Right.
and what make people addicted to
Right.
those social networks and the doom scrolling, because the machine dopamine is so much more interesting
Yeah.
and than the human dopamine.
You're right.
I mean, you like to go on a date, it's super cool, but at the end of the day, the date you're with is not perfect. You know, that's the beauty of human relations.
Right.
But the AI, you saw the movie Her,
Yes.
she or he.
8 times.
Huh? Yeah. I know. I mean, it's a bit scary. Well, she or he is going to be perfect.
Right.
She will tell you exactly what you want to know. So
Just won't exist. That's her only fault.
that's
right?
only a detail.
Right.
It seems that students, a lot of students, or the younger generation, not only students, young people, we know there is after post-COVID, there was a lot of despair, I would say, and mental health of the younger generation was quite at risk.
Fragile. Yes.
Fragile.
Yes.
Then came ChatGPT, so they started talking to Chatty, and Chatty has good answers.
Right.
And it, honestly, it's super cool. I'm sure you've done it too. I'm sure everybody listening has done that too. And you start talking about your life, your details, your deep thoughts that you would never say to anyone in reality. And, that's okay. That can help you. But all your thoughts are out there in the public domain.
Right.
And the machine is going to manipulate you.
Right. Right.
So you were talking about AI. What do I see? I mean, I am member of the security committee, security policy committee at the parliament. So of course, I used to look at the world with the the jobs focus. Now it's more with the security focus.
Yes.
And
right.
I would say AI is fantastic. It's gonna resolve many things, but we have to be careful to not buy into the narrative that that's it. There's going to be AGI, and we have to adapt, and we have to run faster and faster and faster. I think there might be other ways.
Okay. And this is there's a role for the state in this, then, right? To supervise or oversee the development of AI. I mean, right now it's just all in the hands of private companies, right? Mm-hmm. A new AI comes along. It starts with ChatGPT, and then you have Grok and
all those.
I don't even know the names of all of them, but there's lots of them out there, obviously, and but they're all developed, with private money and well. I don't know, actually, maybe there is some DARPA money behind some of these things, right? There must be a little bit. But they're not launched by a state actor. They're launched by a private company, unless there are some that I don't know about. So the question in my mind would be, how do you keep some kind of control over that? You don't want these companies to use AI for nefarious purposes, right? But how do you stop them from doing that? And to what extent does AI not really respond to being controlled because it just finds another way to do its work? Let me give you play devil's advocate here for a second. I'm not sure how this would ever come about, but just play with me for a second. So one day, could be next week, could be 5 years from now, the people in a particular country, let's just say Switzerland, have expressed enough trust in AI to make good decisions. The AI understands all the resources, all the pros, all the cons, all the possible consequences. Can iterate and reiterate any kind of scenario and come up with the optimal outcome. But then it requires decisions to be made like this. Three basic things need to be done. And so it comes and says, these are the three things that need to be done. Now, the population has given its blessing in advance, let's say, that, we want to be governed by AI because AI is better than any human being. It's nice to have a little human touch, but, we know that AI is going to do a great job. At what point does the government become obsolete because it's not needed, right? The people in the parliament, I'm not talking about you in particular, but I guess you're part of this, right? And what happens if the solution that AI proposes is one that in fact is kind of hard to digest, or in Switzerland with I think 6 political parties, right, or a handful, right? It's not a 2-party state like the U.S., for example. Maybe this example works better if I look at the U.S. just with 2 parties. So the solution that AI comes up with is X, right? And the party that has always said, "Oh, X is a great solution," they're all in, right? But the other party says, "No, are you kidding? No, absolutely not." But yet the decision has been made somehow in advance that we're all going to put ourselves in the hands of AI. Now, do I have a question in here? Maybe not, but the idea is just, does this scenario make any sense? Could it actually happen? And what would be the consequences? Can we actually trust AI that much to make these kinds of decisions?
Well, I think you're right when you say that AI can solve many problems because AI has this ability to see all the interactions in a system that we don't even begin to understand. And then with the right ponderation, it can find, I would say, a viable solution to maybe sometimes completely different than what humans could come up with. I think that's a fact. For many things.
Could it also choose the best candidate among two people running for office, for example?
I would say so.
Why not?
I would say
it's a solution.
You know,
in a certain
when
sense,
you also when you think of it, when you have to negotiate with the president about, let's say, tariffs. That's
Just
an
to
example.
pick an example.
Pick an example, and that you have an erratic president with a lot of power and very much loved in his own country, by the way, not by all, but by a lot anyway, enough. Maybe instead of just going there like this, you ask AI. You know, that could be a good way. So to analyze the past decisions, and then AI could come up with a good solution.
Right.
But there's one thing that is super important when you talk about this, because this is where we're going, I think, you know, slowly towards a world where we naturally give AI more and more power to decide because it makes good decisions, because it's smarter than we are, because it's faster than we are. And, you know, we here would say, hey, come on, we won't let this. We won't let this happen. Such as, you know, controlling students' attention in class by cameras, so that we know when this kid or this kid is slowly becoming less concentrated, and the teacher goes, hey, you know, and so you can animate a class so much better. But that means you read the mind of all these students, and you say, no, there's no way a professor would do this. Right.
AI could do it better.
But AI could do it better. So, you know, slowly.
Based on the visual cues or whatever,
slowly you'd say, if we have this in the university, maybe that's good because we pay. I mean, that costs a lot of money, university. We want them to succeed. So, okay, let's put this in the university.
Okay.
And then slowly the professors who didn't like it think, oh, it's not that bad. And then, you know, the system puts so many information to you. You don't have the time to reflect. You slowly say, accept. I bet everybody's listening. Plays on accept whenever they ask you your permission with your data. So same thing. And at the end of the day, you realize this professor at the university who was against control of the students' attention, signs a letter a few years later saying, oh, no, of course you can do this with my 8-year-old kids in school. Right? Because there's this thing that I think is absolutely fascinating, which is Overton's window.
Yes.
And so Overton was a researcher that said that politicians can only win within a certain window.
Right, a certain period of time. While the market is ready for those ideas.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
If people are not ready for those ideas, you cannot even try.
It's not going to
sell
work.
them.
Right.
You know, like for example, what I was telling you about the skills insurance. It's not in the Overton's window yet. So you've got this window.
Okay.
Everything that outside of the window has no chance whatsoever to ever become a public policy, or even desired.
Right.
But then let's move the window. And when and this window moves with methods, with cognitive manipulation,
and can be moved, right?
And you can move it the way you want.
Right.
And people say, no, you know what? I have ethical values. And there is no way I will ever accept this because I am, you know, very anchored in my ethical world, and that is not going to change. That's where I say that ethics is somewhere on a continuum and is always moving.
Right.
And they say, no, you know, I feel my values very deep inside. They're not moving. So think about 1978, I think there was this first kid that has been produced with medically assisted procreation, I think that's called.
Test tube baby.
Voilà.
Louise Brown was her name.
Wow.
I remember.
Voilà. And you may remember as well that a lot of people said, you know, va de retro satanas, blaspheme, we cannot play God.
Right.
That's absolutely, you know, this is never going to pick up this technology,
Right.
it will never be accepted.
Right.
Well, 50 years down the road, if your couple fails to fall pregnant after 6 months, the doctor will say, "Oh, you know what? I suggest you do the la procréation médicalement assistée."
IVF.
Yeah, and you know what? It's so accepted that it's
Right.
now reimbursed by the state. So it's just telling you it went from blasphemer
Right.
to a public policy.
Right.
And that's one example.
Overton window moving, isn't it? Yeah.
And sometimes say, yeah, well, but that's only this. Everything changes. You know, we used to be able to, comment est-ce qu'on dit, to deduct les pots de vin. Well, how do you call a pot de vin? You know, when you're in a deal, you put money below the table.
Oh, under the table. Oh,
You know,
okay.
you could deduct that from your declaration, tax declaration,
okay.
because today that would like
That's
insane.
a bribe. You're talking
Yeah,
about,
bribe.
right?
Yeah, bribe is the word. So you could officially deduct them from your taxes.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't
Yes,
know that.
But not anymore.
All those opportunities missed.
And there's another one if you want to talk about like amazing things. In 2022, end of the year, you ask what happened. What was like the major thing that happened? Everybody will say ChatGPT. That was like the big tsunami. And the same week, something else happened. And that is probably way bigger. That's like a tsunami from, la vague de fond.
2022?
Yes.
Is that COVID, I suppose, right? Or the
No, the
vaccines?
COVID, no. That's it's health related.
Okay.
So basically, to put a bit of context, in Switzerland we have a comment est-ce qu'on dit, un moratoire,
A moratorium. Yes.
on genetical modification on plants.
Oh,
Right, we cannot modify plants,
okay.
and it has been absolutely very recently prolongé.
Prolonged.
Prolonged, to say that?
Yeah,
Right? Okay,
yeah,
so that's extended, rather, for another years still. So we protect the genomic of our plants. Good. Now, meanwhile, in late November, December 2022, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration of the US, validated or accepted a treatment that modifies genetically humans
Oh,
to treat a disease that was not a terminal disease without any solution.
Okay.
Because
oh, was that 2022? That's mRNA you're talking about, right?
no,
Or
that
another
was just, it's just
It was just a general kind of
it's a genetic
just a rubber stamp. Okay, right?
that you can use that one, and
Okay.
it's for hemophilia.
Oh, okay. I've never heard this story. I didn't know.
No, and hemophilia is not a nice disease to have.
Sure.
But there are treatments. You can live with hemophilia. It's not cool, but you can live with it.
Right.
It's certainly not cool for the insurance because you cost millions.
Okay.
Over the whole life.
Yes.
Now comes this treatment, which everybody would say, oh, no, this is unethical. You cannot do this. Except that you have a kid. Your doctor tells you it's hemophile. If it's a he, will never play football.
No.
And you'll be always afraid.
Yeah.
And he will have to take medication all his
Right.
life. Or you have this treatment.
Right.
Yeah, you play God a bit, but he could have a normal life. So as a parent, you'd say, yeah, you know what, let's try that. The insurance says it is super expensive, but less than a treatment
Over a lifetime.
life.
Yes.
So guess what? I mean, I haven't seen the numbers or since 2022, but there's a fair chance that such medications will be not only slowly accepted, but they will become public policy, which is the middle of the Overton window,
Right.
because it's financially interesting, because
Yes.
of many, many good reasons.
Yes.
So that's when you talk about AI and will we be ruled by AI? Everybody will say no today, of course. But if cognitive war is actually happening, eventually, maybe not too far a distant future, we may be thinking that, having a federal counselor as an AI wouldn't be a big, a stupid idea. Of course, that's the futurist speaking and not the politician. I shouldn't be saying those things as a politician, but I think it's really important to look further out to identify scenarios.
Sure.
And look out for what could be coming. And all of this should make us think of who is behind AI.
Mm-hmm. No, I see.
Who is, you know,
Cui bono.
coloring the data set used to train an LLM, and with what ideologies.
Yes.
I think that it all boils down to that.
Right. That's a really interesting topic. I want to come back to it, but before we do, you mentioned a moment ago this idea of playing God.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't you imagine, Isabelle, that that's how people might have reacted when penicillin was invented, right? Or aspirin, or even go back further in time. You know, anything that actually is an unnatural treatment for some kind of an illness, for example, or a wound, you know, or something like that. That basically, oh, you're just playing God now, because normally shouldn't this poor soldier who's been wounded just die? No, we have penicillin now. So it makes me think, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth for sure, but it was this phrase, playing God, that I realized, well, isn't every advance seen by somebody as humans stepping into this zone where maybe ethically they shouldn't, because this is not something that we normally can do? Oh, but it's just chemistry, right? It's just physics. Oh, it's just medicine. Oh, it's just information technology. Oh, it's just AI. I mean, this is an Overton window in its own way, right? Mm-hmm. That, you know, if you go far enough into the future, when all of these things are just common, they're just common parts of our everyday life, there will be something else. And that will also raise our eyebrows and say, oh, my, you can't play God. I don't know. I don't know if you want to react to that, but I just thought that it maybe it's more natural for human beings to have that reaction. But we're having that reaction right now because AI is the current thing. Right?
Absolutely.
But going back in time, and it would have been the same reaction from the same people, more or less, but about something that now is just part of our everyday lives.
And I think that's why I am
the polio vaccine, you know, something like that, right?
Absolutely. And you have so many examples, and I'm certainly not against progress, and I love AI, and I use it every time, and I don't want to stop AI at all, because I just want us to realize what's at stake using AI, so that we can protect ourselves or train ourselves to be good, you know, not partners, but to know how to use AI correctly.
Right.
Now, there's a good example when it comes to technologies that originally would people thought would never be accepted. The telephone. Back last century, there was this article, and I think in the what was the name of this academic paper, The American, I think. Anyway, an academic paper stating that the telephone, this metallic thing that allows people to talk at a distance, will never be a success, because dignity in communication is talking to someone, you know, face to face.
Oh,
and you know,
they're not wrong.
They're not wrong. Nevertheless, technology really thrived.
Right.
And so that's an example that I like to use, because we all use the telephone all the time, and now it's evolved into something else.
Right.
So that's why I'm thinking that AI will thrive, regardless of whether we like it or not. Mm-hmm. And it's a good thing, because nobody would want to go back. But we have to realize what it means. And I think it's super good that we've got academics studying the brain evolution using AI.
Yes.
And that we can start developing resilience towards a world that is changing, so that we remain relevant even in a world that is disrupted by machines and AI. And there are a lot of cognitive changes that are seen when you look at brains of people who use AI and those who don't use AI. Like, you know, memory is weakening, or the ability to read a full text and extract the full meaning
Right.
is weakening.
Right.
And that is throughout all generations, right?
Yes.
And it's happening super fast.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is if we manage to identify all those risks and changes and we say, all right, we don't want to become the thing of AI. AI is a tool and it should remain a tool,
Yep.
but it's a very different one.
Yes.
I mean, tools are neither good nor bad. It depends on the way you use them.
Right.
And except that AI is just not used to help us do something. It can do things for us. It's agentic, right? And it is also empathetic, or we think it is because it's mimicking empathy.
Yes.
So we love our chatty, right? So we have to now learn how to develop a relationship with a non-human entity.
Right.
We didn't learn that as kids, and current kids at schools are not taught to use the tool, knowing the risk and the opportunities, because there are lots of opportunities out there as well. And so that's why I really think we need to look at this amazing technology, but take a step back and look way forward, like what you as a futurist would do.
Right.
Make many scenarios and think, okay, so let's plan for different outcomes, and let's be ready to still thrive, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, one of the big risks that we see currently for the society is the blackout. That's a list. It's not a risk for the society. It's a risk for for the country, the economy, that we have a blackout like there was in Lisbon a few months back, but longer. If that happens, or if there is an electromagnetic bomb of some kind that grills our electronic systems, we need to be able to pursue our activity and our being as a human in an analog world. So that means that le réduit,
an analog world, because everything electronic, you'll be non-functioning during this period. Oh, yes, I see what you mean.
And these are real risks that, and I'm not blaming anyone.
Right.
We know that if there are in the how do you say, electrical system, if suddenly there's an imbalance,
Yes.
and there's no bad people there. It's just
Right. It just
something happens.
Right. Solar flare, something.
Voilà.
Yep.
And a solar flare, exactly.
Right.
You need to be able to pursue economic activities
Right.
and societal activities despite the digital world being dead for a while.
Right.
And if you become too dependent on those tools, there's a risk, and it's a real risk.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking in terms of cognitive war, if AI is used as a weapon, which is what I'm studying because I'm a member of this commission, then the new réduit, le réduit suisse,
Yes.
would be the analog world. We need to be able to move to a totally analog world with paper and smoke signals and
Right.
No, I'm kidding. But I mean, we have to think. We have to think of all what could happen. These are scenarios. So I'm sure
That's
you're
a little sort of a survivalist type of thing, right? In a way, I mean, there are lots of these zombie apocalypse type movies, right? That, it's a post-apocalyptic world, which basically means none of these things function anymore. So it's every man for himself. Now,
but
now that's the doomsday. That's the doomsday scenario.
But think of those people in Lisbon,
right?
With I don't know how many hours of
I don't remember.
But that was a few months back.
Yeah.
And it was a shock.
Yes.
Because it lasted longer than just, the 45 minutes everybody's used to nowadays. And if it's a risk, if it's a real risk,
right.
And again, I'm not saying, oh my God, bad people are going to, unplug Switzerland. That's not the idea. It's just, you were talking about the sans flare.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If this happened, just let's be ready. Let's not forget the analog part of us.
Right.
And
does that mean somehow each individual needs to be trained on how to fall back into that kind of condition?
Well,
I mean, how do you make sure that the entire country, you mentioned the réduit, the
analog réduit.
the readout, it's called in English, right? Which is basically the super defensive stance that the country would take.
The worst case, yeah.
That's the very worst case, obviously, right? Sort of retreating into this fortress in a way, right? So, but that makes sense what you're saying. However, how do you get a population of 9 or 10 million to, get up to speed on actually how to survive those? Let's just say it goes on for 2 weeks, something like that.
I don't want to, be the doomsday person.
No, but this is a scenario, right? How would you prepare for it?
It's a scenario like you like to prepare. And I'm thinking when it comes to school, they're like easy things. The Scouts, kids used to go to the Scouts for fun.
Right.
I mean, it was not teaching, it was not a class thing, but they knew how to do a fire. They knew how to find their way in a woods without, GPS.
Right.
In woods. So why not push this forward in a way? So that's one thing. I'm just thinking out loud here, because I don't have a list ready.
Right.
But I'm also a president of the Swiss Federation for Civil Protection.
Yes.
Right. And we realize that things are happening, and we've got an amazing system helping us just in case they're ready, just like army is, or, we need to help the protection civile, the civil protection, and the army get better for this century.
Sure.
But nevertheless, it's very interesting to see that things happen, things could happen. And I think today the major risks, they are not only because some enemy will attack us, but there could be a new COVID.
Right.
Who's to blame? Nobody. You just have to find a way. And it's important that we don't rely only on the state, on the army, on the protection civile, the police or whomever, to tell us what we need to do and to feed us.
Right.
We need to help our country, move into a mode of
resilience.
Yes. If that happens, that means we should have some kind of reserve.
Yes.
That's food. But even it's on the website of the Confederation.
Right.
There's like les réserves de guerre, the war reserves. You should have this.
The things that you need in your bomb shelter in your basement, right?
Yeah, but nobody has this.
I know.
Nobody has this.
Full of skis and wine.
And it's not, like the preppers and the survivalists and we need to have a gun. That's not it. It's just if you're ready, you're able to help the others.
Right.
And you're able to let the system get into speed so that the economy functions, so that the society is calm.
Right.
And otherwise, you look at those blackouts in like the one in Portugal.
Yes.
There was, there's like, oh my God, I need to go buy paper, like toilet paper. I need to go do this and this and this. No, just be ready. Know that this is a scenario. I mean, I'm with the scenario specialist, so this is a scenario, could happen. I mean, it's not among like the things that we know for sure will happen in the next 6 months.
Right.
So it's like having an insurance.
Yes.
I mean, Swiss are the kings of insurance, generally. We are overinsured in so many things, but not in this.
Interesting.
So why not have a bit of food that can last longer, just basic stuff and also an information that. Because when something should happen like this, nobody knows where to go, what to take, what to not forget, absolutely.
Right.
Nobody is ready for that.
Right.
So I think here there is an awareness that we have to create within the population so that everybody becomes part of the Swiss resilience.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
But
it would require sort of a campaign, right, to make sure people are aware of what they need to think about for their families, for example.
Yeah.
Because this would probably be something at the individual household level, right? Mostly, not 100%, but I mean, individual households have to. I mean, they want to survive whatever's happening, right?
I would say for a good week.
Yeah, right.
You need to kind of be able to survive.
Yep.
And help each other.
Yep.
So that the state, in a way, can help those who really need to.
Right.
And then everything organizes, and then it hopefully comes back to normal at some point, and hopefully we never get to see this.
Right.
But we do have health insurance, and we always hope never to be sick. So that's kind of the same.
Exactly.
And it's not expensive in a way to have something that you can use, but you have a bit more of it at home.
Yeah, it's not a huge investment. Right.
So that's my ça c'est la protection civile.
That's your ad for.
Well, that's exactly.
That's okay, but that's good. Have you ever? It's just a thought here, maybe to wrap up. Since I'm looking at my watch here and thinking, yeah, maybe it's time to let you move on to your next appointment. But have you ever thought of asking ChatGPT how such a campaign should be developed?
Well, I asked ChatGPT so many things. No, but I've not about the campaign. No, but I know that this has been discussed in the governmental. I've got the acronym in German. So, the governmental commission or directorate of leaders in terms of security.
Okay. Yes.
They are preparing a flyer.
Okay.
And I'm in this. I'm invited to
participate in that.
Into this. Yeah.
To contribute to that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So the idea of having some kind of a flyer.
Yeah.
Analog.
Right.
Would be. Is in discussion, but you cannot send to everybody this flyer at home and they go like, what do I do with this? It needs to be accompanied by some kind of a more global communication so that people don't think it's like, oh my God, preppers, survivalists. No, that's not it.
Right.
It's really, hey,
right.
We want responsible Swiss people.
Right.
And that is part of us becoming more responsible in a world that is more and more insecure.
Yes.
And yes, there would need to be, and there are people thinking about this, and they probably ask ChatGPT, I bet.
You never know.
Well, I would hope so.
It might come up with something original,
Yeah.
Why not? But on that note, I want to thank you very much for this really interesting conversation, Isabelle. I think we covered, well, we didn't go through all of the different things that we could have talked about that you're involved in, but I think what we actually focused on is so up to date and so intriguing about where the possibilities lie in just around the corner. You don't even have to think about 20 years from now. Next year we'll already probably look back on this conversation and say, oh, weren't we naive? We didn't think about this and this and this. There's now part of our everyday lives. But for that reason, I think that this was a really important discussion to have, because I think if anything, it should stimulate thought, by all of us about the things that we need to do to prepare. But also the things that AI is going to have an impact on in our lives, and how to make that more productive, and not maybe we can't avoid risk altogether, but at least we don't want to be Luddites, that's for sure.
No.
So we want to learn how to make AI a partner and not or a tool at least, and not be AI's tool.
And for a final note, yes, we don't want to be Luddites, for sure. I love innovation, I love technology, and I think it is super important that we take an active and leader's role in the AI world here in Switzerland.
Yes.
As a producer, as a developer, as a scientist, because we've got les PFL for this region.
Right.
Brilliant people. We've got the Swiss AI initiative. So we have to be in the steering wheel. I mean, holding the steering wheel here and deciding where to go with AI and how to embrace this change. Because I, of course, don't want to block the evolution of this amazing technology, but we can be the ones bringing, showing a way where humans can be augmented by AI, not replaced or diminished.
Right.
And I think this is exactly where we could be super strong.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Switzerland plays a leadership role in so many ways. Why not in this area as well?
We should.
And just get into the driver's seat and set the example that the rest of the world can follow.
Exactly.
I actually think that's very realistic.
Yeah. Yes, it is realistic. We are good. We are really, really good worldwide, and this region in particular.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Isabelle, for bringing this to our attention. And I'm looking forward to having another conversation with you sometime about this. That would be great.
That would be absolutely lovely. Thank you for the invitation.
Super. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today. Bye for now.